We head to Austria for round 3 of the season with a big question mark over the reliability of the Red Bulls. The Bulls have been looking speedy all season, but with Verstappen struggling with power unit issues in both rounds 1 and 2, as well as an engine failure for Perez in Australia, the team finds themselves further down the standings than they would hope. Toyota will be hoping to carry the momentum of their double points finish in Bahrain into round 3 this weekend, as the returning team eyes a decent finishing position in the constructors' standings in order to boost investment opportunities for the 2024 season. Meanwhile, after a great win for Lewis Hamilton last time out in Bahrain, the Mercedes team is still looking on form throughout practice here in Austria. So let's have a look at how the grid lines up for the first sprint race of the season.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting sprint. An immense lap from Carlos Sainz yesterday puts him in pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who'll start from P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Perez, Leclerc, Hamilton, Russell, Norris, Fernando Alonso, Oscar Piastri, Stroll, Bottas, Benjamin, Albon, Ocon, Kobayashi, Magnussen, Hulkenberg, Sonoda, Gasly, Joe, Ricciardo and Logan Sargent. And with preparations almost complete, let's head trackside for today's sprint.
Okay, we've got that relief of having points on the board finally, so let's keep that form up and get another top 10 finish today, please.
Hello everyone and welcome to part 3 of this Toyota Road to Glory career mode. Here we are on the grid for the Austria sprint race, the first sprint round of the season here for round 3, so should be interesting to see how this sort of shakes the fields up. We're going to get straight into it though. You should have seen the grid run down there just before we jumped into this, so we go to the 5 red lights for the Austria sprint, and we are underway, and it is a good launch compared to Valtteri Bottas. You can see everyone in the field starting on the medium compound tyres. There shouldn't be any pit stops, there's no forecasted rain for this race, and so it should be a pretty straightforward sprint to the finish. Unfortunately, we just sort of got a bit held up behind Albon and Stroll there going side by side, so Bottas has gone around our outside, and he's actually going to have a bit of straight line on us, even though we were using overtake. So we pull back into P13 for now, and actually we're going to go round the outside here of turn 3 as everyone slows down, a yellow flag in fact, but there's no real incidents happening. It's just because we all bunched up so much and there was maybe little bits of contact here and there, maybe a bit of debris going around with some of the cars further back, I'm not too sure, but there was just a brief yellow flag, nothing really that serious happened. We find ourselves going around the outside of Lance Stroll and the Aston though into turn 4, and he's going to fight it, and he does, so it looks like we just got a bit more aero on the car compared to everyone else at the moment, because yeah, as soon as we get into a straight line, we just sort of get dropped a bit. So that looks like something we'll have to fight with here as we head to lap number 2 now of the sprint. We are right in the slipstream of the Aston Martin, and because we get that slipstream and overtake mode, we're going to get up right alongside him as we go around the outside of turn 4. Once again, can we make it work for us this time? Yes, we can. We just get ourselves ahead there. Actually, you can see he's trying to fight back on the right-hand side, so I'm going to have to stay to the inside. No, actually, he backs out of it. So we get the racing line there into the left-hander, but he comes straight back at us. He's still on lap 2 into the penultimate corner. There's a yellow flag up ahead. I'm not too sure what that is. We're into P12 at the moment. It's Verstappen! He was leading the sprint, and he has an engine failure, so Red Bull still struggling with those the engine trouble, and Perez, I think, just run into the back of him. So, Verstappen out of the sprint. Perez has got front wing damage. The Red Bull season so far is just not going to plan whatsoever. It is massively going wrong. Something is wrong with that reliability in that Red Bull engine. You can see he's on board with Perez. He just drives straight into the back of him there. Everyone else got around him. And I guess Verstappen sort of came back onto the racing line after pulling over to the right-hand side, so Perez just wasn't quite expecting it. But yeah, a bit of miscommunication there between the teammates, and so now Verstappen's out of the sprint, and Perez is pitting to fix that front wing. So you can see this is happening at pretty much the same time, just after turn 1 there, where all of that went down. We managed to get past Stroll again, and now Bottas and Ocon, that is, all sort of jumping on the Aston, so Stroll's lost a whole bunch of spots, and this is the battle for 11th place now. We're into P10, so remember, not in the points for the sprint race, P10, only the top 8 get points in the sprint race, but if we can finish in P10, that's where we'll start the Grand Prix, and then in the Grand Prix, that will be a points-paying position, so still, lots to fight for here into this sprint round. It's not a very long race. You can see here is Perez holding up Russell. Russell goes down the inside of the penultimate corner, gets the move done on the Red Bull, and Perez does come into the pit lane to repair his front wing, so they're really, I wouldn't expect there to be enough time for Perez to make his way back through the field here. even with the probably soft tyres he'll go onto and a fixed front wing. So Red Bull going to score no points here in the sprint, and for the Grand Prix they're going to have to start from right at the very back of the grid at their home race as well. So it's just an absolute shocker of a weekend, and pretty much a shocker of a start to the season for them as well, because that car is very, very quick. You can see into turn 1 though, Bottas gets down there inside. Meanwhile, up ahead, Sainz and Hamilton battling away for the lead here. This could be a bit interesting. Hamilton did get his first win of the season last time out in Bahrain for round 2, so that Mercedes definitely has pace. You can see here they're currently sitting 2nd and 4th as Leclerc goes around the outside now of the 7-time champion. Does he get the move done? Yes, he does to the inside. Hamilton tries to hold him around the outside, but you would think the Ferrari should get the spot, and he does there in the end. So Mercedes sitting 3-4 at the moment, Ferrari 1-2 in the sprint. So the Ferraris are looking very strong this weekend, actually. So yeah, they could be coming out of nowhere a little bit. They've been front running this whole season, but yeah, they look a bit dominant here in Austria. Meanwhile, we're still battling away with Valtteri Bottas for what is now P9 and 10 after Perez made that pit stop. This is on lap 5. We go back down the inside of the Alfa Romeo and get the move done into P9. You can see Albon 4 seconds ahead of us. I doubt we're going to be getting into the points-paying positions there. Unfortunately, we're just sort of stuck in this battle as Bottas comes back at us again into the penultimate corner. So this looks like a very popular overtaking spot in this sprint race. We're going to try and get the cut back on the Alfa Romeo, and we actually do get it done there. A move into the last corner. Very rarely do you see that sort of thing happening, but we've done it there on the Finn, and now Esteban Ocon in the Alpine and Lance Stroll in the Aston Martin. They're going to go 3 wide through turn 1. That slows them all down heaps, so we're going to actually be able to pull a really nice gap on these guys. We've got over a second. We're outside of the DRS range. Meanwhile, all these guys still battling away with each other. Kobayashi now involved in all of this as well, so can our teammate get himself quite up there, which would be really good for the Grand Prix. They've all backed each other up there. Kobayashi has rounded a lot of them up somehow. He's made massive gains there to get into P11. Stroll in P10. Meanwhile, Bottas and Ocon, well, they're not battling anymore, but they were just up until that moment there. And yeah, lots of battling going on here in this Grand Prix. Meanwhile, Norris is now hassling George Russell for that P4 spot, so the McLaren's looking very quick in this one as well. Norris P5, Piastri P7. Meanwhile, Alonso just sort of sandwiched him there in P6. However, Norris has actually got ahead of Russell now, so we've missed that overtake, but Russell now coming back at him here into turn 4. Does he get the move done? That's turn 3, sorry. He gets the move done around the outside there. Alonso sort of just stalking him a little bit in the background, looking to potentially pick up any pieces if they come together. Meanwhile, Piastri trying to defend from Albon, so Albon doing very well in the Williams as well. A lot going on. I'm talking very fast here, running out of breath, just because there's just lots of overtaking throughout the entire field so far. We've been, Kobayashi, sorry, is going for a move on Bottas, that is, for P11 here, so he's trying to defend that position. Our Toyota seem to just be struggling a little bit. They're not the quickest in a straight line. The Renault engine definitely holds up in the back of this thing, but yeah, unfortunately this weekend it looks like we're struggling a little bit for that straight line speed. Meanwhile, up ahead, Albon defending from Oscar Piastri here. He's going to go, yes, he will go to the inside for turn 1. Oscar's going to try and hang around the outside there of the I say very fast, it is a pretty quick turn 1, despite how sharp it is. Meanwhile, up ahead, the 2 Ferraris battling away with each other for the lead, so this could get a bit spicy. The teammates, obviously, Ferrari will be wanting these guys to finish 1-2, and I imagine, by the looks of it at least, they're saying they can race each other, but they just have to be careful not to come together. But Leclerc spins it all on his own there. There was no contact between them, and Leclerc has just dropped it. That is going to be extremely costly, and I imagine Ferrari's going to be very, very upset with that. They were looking very good for a 1-2. And Leclerc's dropped right back down to P8 now. You can see there's us just in the background with Lance Stroll behind us. And yeah, we actually right in behind him, very close. So I wonder if he's maybe got some sort of issue there, if he maybe got a bit of floor damage with that spin. He went over the outside curb a little bit, but I didn't think he'd really get that much trouble from the spin. Maybe his tyre's just a bit worn out, I don't know. But yeah, either way, cutting forward to lap 10. There's only 3 laps to go now in this Grand Prix. Albon to the inside of the McLaren for P6 this is now, with Leclerc spinning. So battle for P6 and 7. This is going very well so far for Alex Albon. The Williams guys could use as many points as possible. They are sort of trying to battle us in the Constructors' Championship. As Albon goes to the outside now, the McLaren. Piastri trying to defend here from Albon. Does he hold the position? It's sort of been hard to tell. We didn't get given very good camera angles here for this shot here. It looks like they're still going side by side at the moment, though, as they leave each other room. But Albon does eventually get ahead of the McLaren there. You can see Piastri back down to P7. Meanwhile, we cut back to our perspective to the second last lap. Leclerc is going slow. He doesn't have that Ferrari pace that we just saw for the opening stage of this race. We are hanging on to the back of the Monegasque driver at the moment. And actually, we have DRS. We're deploying all of the rest of the battery that we have. He's going to go defensive into turn 3. We're going to look to the outside here. I really shouldn't be battling with a Ferrari. I shouldn't have the pace for this. But for whatever reason, I just do is we get a beautiful cutback there on the driver. On the Ferrari, I mean, sorry. And we get the move done there. Into P8, into the points paying positions for the sprint. I'm going to battle this position for tooth and nail, because even just 1 point could be very handy for us here. And so we do get into P8 there, which is very, very good. We're going to just sort of fast forward a little bit through to the end of this lap here, as the Ferrari does come back at us now into the penultimate corner. Again, just sort of highlighting the straight line speed when we don't have DRS or slipstream. It's just not quite there. So we're going to head on to the final lap now of this sprint. And we're going to have to fight with everything we've got if we want to beat Leclerc here to the line to get ourselves that 1 point for this sprint round. As we go into turn 1, he goes defensive. So we're going to try the cutback move again, the same that we just did last lap. We're going to get alongside Charles Leclerc with the help of DRS there. And you can see our battery is very low. But we're going to go to the inside of turn 3. Leclerc goes a bit deeper on the brakes, but I'm still there. A little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact. We go side by side through turn 3, so it's even so far. I still have the DRS, luckily. And so you can see, even with the DRS, he's holding it alongside us right until now. Maybe he's running out of battery a bit, but we do get the position. He tries to come back at us under brakes. We got the inside for turn 4, and we hold it. But this is exactly the same position we were in last lap, and he managed to get us into the penultimate corner. So I'm going to have to give it everything I got if I want to hold on to this. As we look up ahead, Sainz is going to cross the line to win the sprint race here. It could have been so much better for Ferrari, a 1-2, but at least they did hold on to the win after all that, and the two Ferraris didn't take each other out. And you can see Hamilton holds on to second ahead of Norris in third, Russell fourth, Alonso fifth. He was very pacey in this with those front guys. Meanwhile, we're going to come back to ourselves now. You can see we have held it ahead of the Ferrari, and so we do get a single point to our name here in the sprint race. Our first points scoring sprint there. And you can actually see here in the standings, I don't know what happened. I looked through the race director and everything, but Leclerc's just gone. It said he DNF'd, but he very clearly didn't. He crossed the line. But either way, it didn't really matter for points because he didn't score any points either way. But that does mean he's going to have to start the Grand Prix from the very back. So a lot of very fast guys are going to be at the back for this Grand Prix.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. It's Carlos Sainz in pole position, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Norris, Russell, Fernando Alonso, Oscar Piastri, Albon, Benjamin, Stroll, Magnussen, Ocon, Gasly, Kobayashi, Bottas, Sargent, Tsunoda, Joe, Perez, Ricciardo, Leclerc, Hülkenberg, and Max Verstappen completes the grid. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. Anthony Davidson will be sharing his insight alongside me once again today. What should we be looking out for, Ant? Now, I want to talk to you about Carlos Sainz.
Well, it was a really impressive lap in qualifying to get pole position, but are they going to be able to hold on to the lead into the first corner with so many quick starters around them? A couple of favourites for the win then, but who comes out on top doesn't really matter as long as they give us an entertaining show en route to the checkered flag. And we want to see fair fighting, of course, out there on the track. Let's hope the stewards don't have to get involved too much today.
So here we are lining up on the grid in P8 for the Austrian Grand Prix, and yeah, like I said, there's going to be quite a few very quick cars trying to come through the field after a poor sprint race. So yeah, we find ourselves in the points now, but we're going to have to gain positions or at least defend very well if we want to hold on to another point scoring race, another point scoring position finish in this Grand Prix. For whatever reason, we just don't seem to quite have the pace that we had in Bahrain. Kobayashi currently just outside the points, and me right towards the bottom part of the points as well. So yeah, if we want not even a double point scoring position, but just a 1 point scoring position, yeah, we're going to have to put on the race of our lives by the looks of it. But yeah, the Ferraris and Mercedes looking quick. Norris also looking quick as ever. And yeah, I feel like those guys are going to be a very big struggle to overtake. So really, Albon and Alonso are our best chance. Potentially Piastri as well. He is quick. The McLarens in general are quick, but Norris just seems to have that little bit of an edge over our Australian friend there in the McLaren. So, yeah, we're going to go to the 5 red lights, and we've got a lot to fight for here as we are underway for the Austrian Grand Prix. Another thing to point out, you can see I'm on the medium tyres, a lot of others on the softs, but they've all gone very slow there. We're into third before we even get to the braking zone for turn 1. The 2 Mercedes lead the way, Hamilton ahead of Russell, then myself in third place. What on earth has happened there? At the start, we have Piastri behind us in 4th. Norris has gone down to the 5th. Sainz, the pole sitter, is down to P6 from pole. That was just absolutely insane. We have to have a look at what happened there on that race start, because that was just crazy. We've gone from P8 to P3 there. By the time we'd even gone across the start-finish line, really, you can see Magnussen sits P7 in the Haas as well. Albon's gone down to P8. So, yeah, just a big shake-up in general of the running order. You can see, obviously, the Mercedes have just taken off from us so far, but here we are with an off-board of the start, and Sainz has just had an absolute shocker there. You can see he just didn't get off the line, and look at the carnage that has caused. Unfortunately, Kobayashi a part of it. He's just sort of stuck sitting behind. No damage for anyone, luckily. But yeah, just a very, very big mess of cars all heading into turn 1. He's an onboard with the Ferrari, and yeah, he just doesn't move. He just bogs it down completely there. And so Ferrari's weekend goes from looking so great with a 1-2 in the sprint to Leclerc spinning in the sprint and dropping right down and out of the points, to Sainz now balking it off the start in the Grand Prix and down to the bottom part of the top 10. He is now an onboard with Lando Norris, who started just behind the Ferrari in P3. He was looking to have a good start as well. He actually got a better start than Hamilton as well, so he was looking good to potentially challenge for the lead into turn 1. But yeah, just look at this mess of cars. That is crazy. The amount of just sort of carnage going on, just everyone trying to go around each other and just trying to sort of not get any damage and just tripping over each other. He's on board with myself once again here on the start. Just pay attention, it's all on the left-hand side. We were very lucky to go towards the right, and we just fly by a whole bunch of sitting ducks on the left-hand side there. Back on the racing line for turn 1 as well, and yeah, just no one behind us to challenge whatsoever. So you really couldn't ask for much better of a race start from my perspective, but for a lot of other people, they won't be very happy with that, I imagine, as we now go to lap 3. Oscar Piastri, our fellow Aussie, to the inside of turn 3 there. Sort of to be expected. The McLaren's a lot quicker than us at the moment, but we are going to put up a fight as we try and get the cutback. Not quite able to. We get the DRS. Overtake mode enabled. A little bit of slipstream before tucking to the outside here for turn 4. Can we go around the outside of Piastri? Hold on to this podium position. So, not quite able to yet, as we try and hang it around the outside. We just don't quite have the grip of those soft tyres. But yeah, as I was saying before all that craziness went down, we are on the mediums. A few other cars are on the mediums as well. And we're just going to sort of try and do an inverse what everyone else is doing. Everyone else is going soft to either medium or hards, and we're going to go mediums to either hards or softs. So, yeah, just sort of good to see a bit of strategy difference here. I was planning on sort of getting these mediums out of the way while we were hopefully stuck in a little bit of traffic, battling away with the guys for the front. But yeah, that just sort of all went out the window immediately there into turn 1. We're still battling away with Piastri here on lap number 4. He gets it done though, finally, as we head into turn 4 on lap 4 there. And we now have Lando Norris and the other McLaren right in behind us. Lando is on the mediums, so potentially the fight might be a little bit easier than what it was with Piastri, just because of that grip difference that the softs gives. The softs are very strong around here, as we you can see sort of head down towards this run to the penultimate corner. This is where we've been struggling a lot this weekend, and that is not changing whatsoever here in the Grand Prix. Lando to our inside of the penultimate corner, gets it done very easily. Not much effort required in that. The straight line speed on the McLaren is just a lot more superior to what we have in the Toyota at the moment, and we immediately now find ourselves under attack from Carlos Sainz as well. Meanwhile, the Mercedes battling away for the lead of the race here. So could this be a repeat of what we saw with the Ferraris in the sprint? Could these guys end up in a scuffle and potentially one of them or both of them falling down the points order? We'll have to see here as they continue going side by side into turn 3. Is either of them going to give out? Is Toto Wolff maybe going to tell them to calm down and just maybe wait until they get a bit further into the Grand Prix? Russell does pull ahead though, so he's taken the lead off of Lewis Hamilton. Meanwhile now, a bit further back, Norris actually was able to get the move done on Piastri there. Potentially that was team orders, I'm not too sure. It is a bit strange though that Piastri on the softs has given the spot to Lando on the mediums. I guess that just goes to show the pace advantage that Lando seems to have at the moment in this season. He's looking very strong. He was battling for the lead in the sprint, but now on to lap number 6 this will be. We're still hanging with the McLarens just for now, although Carlos Sainz looking to sort of avenge that horrible start that he had for the Grand Prix. Goes past us into turn 1. I don't put much of a fight, although he has a big moment on the rear end there out of turn 1. So we find ourselves right on the back of the Ferrari as we head up towards turn 3. I'm going to potentially go for a move. He goes defensive. If he had have stayed on the racing line, I would have just let him go. And you can see actually in the end there, I do let him go. Although he has a horrible run through there as well. So he's actually hurting himself. I'm trying to let him go so we can stick with the McLarens. And he just keeps throwing big defensive maneuvers. So much so that we're now outside of the DRS range of the McLarens. You can see we're going to keep it down the inside of Sainz here through turn 4. He's going to hold the outside position here, and he should be able to come straight back at us with that power. That was just, yeah, you can just see no match whatsoever there. He actually has a bit of a moment on the inside, but in the end, he still just does have that speed in that Ferrari to get the move done on us into P5. Meanwhile, up ahead, the two leaders once again battling, so it looks like Toto hasn't come over the radio yet to tell them off, and so Hamilton, defensive, actually goes back to the racing line, sort of weaving around a little bit there on the main straight. Russell to the inside of turn 1, not able to get it done, and so Hamilton leads the way for now ahead of George Russell. So it's a Mercedes 1-2 at the moment, then McLaren 3 and 4, and the Mercedes once again going to battle away. They're allowing the McLarens to catch up here. So this could be a very, very good result for the two McLarens so far this weekend, with a 3-4 potentially going in for a potential 1-2 if the Mercedes keep going like this. Who knows? So you can see Russell does get the move done on Hamilton, and Hamilton now coming back at him around the outside of turn 4. Again, another very popular battle spot here through turn 4 on the run down to turns 5 and 6. And Hamilton to the inside. Can he hold it, or is Russell going to argue the point? They go very close to each other there, and Russell does hold on, but that's allowed now Lando Norris in the McLaren to have a little look at Lewis Hamilton. He's going to go to the inside of the penultimate corner. Again, another, as I said, a very popular overtaking spot here in this weekend. And Hamilton's actually going to hold it. They go side by side through the final corner there. Russell is pulling away. He's got a DRS gap now. Meanwhile, Carlos Sainz in the background going for a move on Oscar Piastri. It's all happening now. Norris gets the move done on the Mercedes. The Ferrari gets the move done on the McLaren. And so a bit of a shake-up there heading on to lap 8. Russell ahead of Norris, ahead of Hamilton, ahead of Sainz, ahead of Piastri, and then myself just trying to tag on to the end of this train here in P6. So we're in the lead battle technically, but you can very clearly see that I don't have the pace to actually be a part of it because these guys are all battling away, and that's what's just sort of keeping me in line with them. But Piastri, with a bit of poor momentum after getting past with Sainz, has left himself a bit vulnerable here. We're going to go around the outside of the McLaren while we've got the opportunity before they all try and pull away, and we get the move done into P5. So even though we are starting to slowly get passed by some guys, we're still in a very good spot in the battle here for P5 and 6. Meanwhile, on board with our teammate Kobayashi, you can see Albon and Alonso battling away for P10 and 11 as they head into turn 1-1. This is going to slow them down a lot, and so Kobayashi potentially looking at getting himself into the points playing position. Alonso especially has had a very poor run, so here we go, a teammate to the outside of the Aston. He's actually got the run on Albon as well, so he's going to try and thread the needle there between the both of them. He's got the Aston. Can he get the Williams as well? Albon will have the better run out of turn 3 with that outside line. He does get it done. However, he doesn't have DRS now down this straight towards turn 4, so Kobayashi with the DRS, he's going to come at him and get it. So a double overtake there for Kobayashi. Very good. That is the sort of thing we want to see from our experienced teammate there to get himself into the points playing position. And so after everything, it looks like a potential double point scoring race is on the table here for us at Toyota if the likes of the Perez, Verstappen and Leclerc struggle to come through the field potentially. Meanwhile, here is Perez going for a move now on Alonso and Albon. So this is just behind where Kobayashi is. Kobayashi luckily has got himself out of DRS range now, so he can focus on trying to catch Lance Stroll up ahead. Meanwhile, Albon and Alonso are still battling away. Perez wasn't able to get the move done and actually now finds himself being re-attacked by Valtteri Bottas in the Alfa Romeo, who actually does get the move done there. So these guys just aren't sort of really moving through the field at the pace they would want to. We're on to lap 9.5-ish now. Perez is still down in P14. Verstappen's still 17. And Leclerc's still 18. So these front runners are really struggling to find their way through the field. I don't know what it is. But yeah, they just don't have the pace that you would expect, especially the Red Bulls have been very quick, very unreliable this season for whatever reason, but very quick. Meanwhile, up at the very front, talking about very quick, Lando Norris in the McLaren takes the lead of the Austrian Grand Prix from George Russell there. So the Mercedes have been looking on form, but Lando out of nowhere this weekend just seems to have this Austria track just under wraps. He just seems to know what he's doing around here as Russell comes back at him now with the DRS. Which one of these two is going to be able to open that rear wing, though, down this straight? It is Lando Norris. As we go on board here with the Brit, battling the other Brit, with the other Brit behind him. Lots of Brits here at the front of the field. Lando to the outside of turn 4. Will he be able to hold it here? Lando on the medium, so maybe those softs starting to wear out a bit, as he does get the move done and holds on to the lead of the Grand Prix here on lap number 10, ahead of George Russell. And that's not all, so as we now head on to lap number 11, Carlos Sainz is still on the back of these Mercedes. Hamilton's going to go defensive into turn 1, but they both closing up on George Russell, so can Sainz potentially get a 2-for-1 deal here on the Mercedes? There's a bit of contact between Hamilton and Sainz, but Sainz does in the end get the move done there on Hamilton. So Hamilton's gone from the lead down to 4th now in just a few laps. So is the pace of these Mercedes maybe fading a little bit, or is it just the tyres, because Sainz is also on the medium, so potentially these Mercedes guys will just slowly fall back on these softs, and maybe the strategy plan works out for them in the end. I'm not too sure, but you can see here onto lap 13 now, Sainz to the inside of George Russell as well, so definitely the Mercedes are losing a little bit of pace as Lando is actually taking off in the lead. So this could be a great performance here from Lando Norris, going for his first win in Formula 1. Meanwhile, Hamilton has come back, and not just Sainz, but also Russell, after Sainz was unable to make the move there on the Mercedes, and now we are potentially having a look at the Ferrari as well, because as I said, the same thing with Oscar Piastri. He's left himself a bit vulnerable there after just a bad bit of momentum, and so we're going to go to the outside of turn 4. A bit of understeer for us. Can we get it done? We lose the rear end there on the curb, and so unfortunately, unlike with the McLaren, we do have to tuck in back behind there, and we do not get the move pulled off. But you can see here, this is exactly what we want. We want to be roped into this battle as much as we possibly can. You can see a big moment out of the final corner. I'm going to check the tyres there, and the rears are very worn out, as I've said in the first 2 rounds, and it's the same thing here in round 3. The rear end of this Toyota is just very loose and unstable. You can see losing it again through turn 1. So definitely that is where our sort of resource and research and development needs to be focused so far on the Toyota. The rear end is very, very snappy on the power and just through the corner in general, and the rear tyres seem to wear out quite a bit. Meanwhile now, the 2 Red Bulls battling away here for P12 and 13. Verstappen goes past Sergio Perez, but now Perez coming back at Verstappen. So these guys aren't even in the points yet, and now they are hindering each other by battling away. This, I don't know what it is with the inter-team battles at the moment. Ferrari battled away and cost themselves a 1-2. The Mercedes didn't cost themselves any positions, but they did battle while they were in a 1-2. And now the 2 Red Bulls, who are both fighting to get back into the points position after a bad sprint race, are battling away with each other and slowing each other down. I don't know what's going on here in Austria, but there is something in the air that is causing these inter-team battles. Verstappen does win out in the end there to get himself into P12 now, as we head on to lap number 15, and it is time for some of the soft tyre runners to come into the pit lane. You can see Piastri was just in behind us there. He's going to come into the pit lane there for a fresh set of tyres. Lewis Hamilton as well in the Mercedes is coming in. I believe Fernando Alonso will come into the pit lane just behind there. You can see Kobayashi, a teammate, coming into the pit lane. So yeah, a lot of these soft tyre runners coming in. You would imagine the next lap, at the end of lap number 16, the sort of second half of those soft tyre runners would come into the pit lane. But at the moment, that leaves us in P4. You can see Carlos Sainz here now, without Lewis Hamilton a part of this, is going to come for George Russell. Russell now with no DRS off of everyone now that Hamilton's pit. So these guys are going to go side by side through turn 3. Sainz should have the better run out of the corner there with that outside line. He does get the move done. You can see there's myself just in the background sort of watching on. Russell without DRS as well. Meanwhile, Lando Norris now with a 2-second lead. So he's absolutely running away with these at the moment in the McLaren. This is looking to be a potentially very dominant race here for Lando Norris and for McLaren's first win since 2021. As you can see here, the end of lap 16, a big moment for Russell, so those soft tyres are definitely going now. As you can see, he pulls to the inside line there to go into the pit lane. We're going to go around the outside here. I don't want to lose any time to Sainz. You can see, unfortunately, we do just miss out on the DRS there. It was by absolutely nothing, thousandths of a second, unfortunately, just because Russell sort of got in our way there from the racing line. But we do now move into a temporary P3 once now that those soft tyre runners pit. Now you can see here at the end of lap 17, Sainz and Lando Norris actually both in the pit. So the medium tyres didn't last that much longer, and we take the provisional lead of the race. Obviously, we'll have to come into the pit lane a little bit later, but those guys, you can see, going on to the hard compound tyres, which is very interesting. I'm actually planning on running a little bit longer and going for the soft compound, so it'll be interesting to see how that strategy plays out differently. You can see Lewis Hamilton with the undercut does take the effective lead of the race there ahead of Norris and Sainz. So the undercut very strong around this Austria circuit at the moment, and Norris, I doubt he'll be very happy with that because Hamilton on the medium compound tyre, so he's on a faster compound tyre than Norris is, and he's got track position. So yeah, unfortunately, it looks like the undercut potentially the way to go. I don't know, maybe those softer compound tyres will wear out a bit quicker, and by the end of the race, the hards come into their own. I don't know. We'll just have to see how this all plays out. Kobayashi now in P10 at the moment, so he's still in the points-paying position, so that's good to see there. However, you can see Perez just in behind. So Perez has actually been able to get back ahead of Max Verstappen in the pit stop phase as well. So all that battling was for nothing as the Mexican battles away with the Spaniard for P11. This is P11 and 12. Verstappen in P13 just in behind. Charles Leclerc as well, actually, in P14, and Perez does eventually get the move done there on the Aston Martin. But yeah, these front runners still halfway through the race, they're not even in the top 10 yet, so just sort of goes to show the field very competitive at the moment by the looks of it. Meanwhile, now on lap 19, we are coming in just a couple laps' time, but no, it's an engine failure. Our engine is smoking. I didn't think we had these sort of reliability issues. The first two rounds were looking so good for us, and we were looking to carry that momentum with a possible P5, P6 finish, but it's over for us. On lap 19 of the Austrian Grand Prix, from the provisional lead, and technically, yeah, not like effectively, but the provisional lead of the race at least, we are going to retire with an engine failure, our first one of the season, hopefully our only one of the season, really. But yeah, that's it, we're out.
That's it for another Grand Prix and a fantastic win for Mercedes. Well, Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today, but what set them apart from the rest?
I think a large part of the result comes down to temperament. They were able to keep their heads when everyone around them was losing theirs, and that's allowed them to get the best out of the car, to maximise the strategy, and to stay out of trouble.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take the top spot, a well-earned victory for Mercedes.
So here we are with the results for the Austrian Grand Prix, and it's 2 wins on the trot for Lewis Hamilton, the championship leader now after scoring some great points. Lando Norris sits P2 ahead of Sainz P3. So here we are with the results for the Austrian Grand Prix, and it's 2 wins on the trot now for Lewis Hamilton, who's had a very good run at the moment. He seems very quick, and it was Lando Norris that finished P2 ahead of Sainz in P3. That was the podium. Russell was 4th. Verstappen ended up in 5th, so a great result for him. Oscar Piastri 6th, Leclerc 7th, Perez 8th, Stroll 9th, and Gasly rounded out the top 10. You can see outside the top 10 there, we are DNF'd at the very bottom in 22nd. Kamui, unfortunately, unable to score points in the end, dropped down to P13 after those front-running guys were eventually able to get themselves into the top 10. So, unfortunately, after the high of Bahrain getting a double points scoring position, it is no points for us here at Toyota this time out in Austria. You can see for the overall results for the weekend, Hamilton with a massive 32 points ahead of Norris, second on 24, Sainz just behind in third on 23, and then it's Russell, Piastri, Verstappen, Leclerc, Alonso, Perez, and Albon rounding out the top 10 there. You can see a mixture of points gained throughout the sprint and throughout the Grand Prix, and so yeah, it sort of just goes to show how important a sprint round is, because for Verstappen, even though he came through for a P5 in the end of the Grand Prix, because of that DNF in the sprint, he lost a massive 21 points to Hamilton in the championship. So yeah, it just goes to show these sprint rounds can be very, very brutal and very, very crucial at the right moments in the championship. For myself, 1 point in the sprint, so we don't walk away with nothing after that engine failure there in the Grand Prix, but it could have been so much more. In terms of the driver standings, Hamilton leads the way by 14 points over Sainz in second. Norris actually doing very well in third at the moment, ahead of Leclerc in fourth. Russell in the other Mercedes down in fifth. Then it's the Red Bulls of Verstappen and Perez in sixth and seventh. Piastri in the second, McLaren in eighth. Alonso ninth in the Aston. Myself, I'm sitting 10th at the moment, so actually very good for our return season here for Toyota to be sitting in P10 after 3 rounds on 6 points. Kamui sitting P12 on 2 points, so 8 points total for the team so far. You know, 3 rounds in, 8 points in Toyota's return to Formula 1. I mean, it's not the greatest, as you would expect, but to be sort of best of the rest, sort of matching Aston Martin at this point of the season is very good, and hopefully we can only improve and get better from here. I mean, we've got some upgrades slated for the future rounds already as we look forward to the constructors' standings now. Mercedes lead the way by 14 points over Ferrari. McLaren in third, Red Bull fourth, Aston sitting fifth, only 4 points ahead of ourselves here at Toyota. So yeah, as I was saying, we are very, very close with Aston, and you know, the P5, P6, the millions of dollars between that and the constructors could be crucial for us. So that is a big goal for us now in this season, to beat Aston Martin out, hopefully. We're definitely not challenging the likes of Mercedes, Ferrari, McLaren and Red Bull, but Aston is who we are going for. Alpine are on 2 points, same two with the Williams on 2 points. They're in 7th and 8th in the constructors, and then Alfa Romeo, Haas and AlphaTauri still on 0. I imagine at some point they will score points. Actually, in the Grand Prix this weekend, Magnussen was sitting in the top 10 for quite a while, and it wasn't until after we DNF'd at some point that he ended up falling out. So definitely those 3 teams should be scoring points at some point, so it is crucial for us to do as well as we can. But yeah, that is all for this video, guys. If you have enjoyed and would like to see more content like this in the future, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.